Hi everybody, thank you for joining us. Today we're going to go through the third of 11 IPPS-A BI demonstrations using the ad hoc query building capability. Similar to the previous two queries that we just demonstrated, this will be a report of counts of flags, SFPA flags, restrictions across the Army. So again, similar to before, it's going to be a count of flags. However, the counts in the following charts and graphs are going to be of flags themselves, broken out across types of flags, as opposed to counts of soldiers that have been flagged. So we'll just do a quick overview of what we're about to see here. And again, it's the same problem description that you've seen before here. And it's going to be, as mentioned previously, a count of total flags across the Army, so that you can get an idea of what the most prevalent restrictions are that are currently affecting soldier populations, the current SFPA flag counts, and which ones outnumber others. So you're going to see the counts of the flag types broken out across time there. As you can see on the graph, our graph is going to be a few more lines. We don't have them rolled up to those four categories. We're going to break them out across all flag types, and then we'll also have a pie chart that shows the distribution. And Ricky will explain some more of that when we get to that here in a second. And here's a preview of what the final result is going to look like. That pie chart is up at the top, showing the distribution across the different types of flags. And then the line chart with the data available to us in the environment shows what that distribution is over the course of many different time periods across the time axis. So with that, we'll kick it over to the demo.
Thank you. Okay, so we are going to create two different reports here. One is the pie chart. This is just for September of 2019. That's what this report is. And then a line chart, which is a historical report. So we're going to do both of those. So for the pie chart, this is just for one particular month. So what we're going to do is a new analysis. And we're just going to use our current analytics subject area. So IPPS-A Soldier Analytics current only. So we're going to do that. And what we're going to do, we're looking for flag data. So for the restriction data, we want the flag type, restriction flag type of F. So I'm creating a filter here where I'm pulling just the restriction flag type of F that gives us our flag data. I don't actually want this in the report, so I'm going to delete that, but we have a filter here. Next, I'm going to give our flag reasons. That is our restriction item description. I'm going to change this to say flag reasons. And that is just simply the reasons. So here we have the flag types and we have the reasons here. Now I want to get a count of how many of these restrictions we have, how many of these reasons. So I'm just going to come here, again, look for restriction data. And I'm going to pull in the begin date, and then I'm going to edit this. So I'm going to call this number of flags. And what we are going to do is get a count of this. We're going to get a count of the flags, but we only want the flags that were in September of 2019. So we're going to say case when the begin date is less than the end of the month. So we're going to say date 2019-09-30. So if it started before the end of September, and we're going to take the end date, so restriction final end date. I'm going to copy this. So I'm going to say, and I'm going to say parentheses. If the end date was after the first of the month, so date 2019-09-01, or if that end date hasn't happened yet, so if the end date is null, then we're going to do a count of this item code of the flag here. else null. So this will give us the count of our flags. And basically, if I look at that results, we now have flags and we have a count here. So see, I have one that's 0, so we can actually filter this out. And we can just say a filter here that it is greater than 0. And we'll only show the flags that actually occur during that month. Okay, so I'm going to set this as content paging so I see the entire chart here. And now we're going to come here and add a pie chart. So we're going to go to graph and choose pie. And it sticks it down below here. And we're just going to drag this to the top here. And now we have the flags and you have a table listing those counts. And I'm going to give it a title here. I'm going to call this flag distribution. And we want to center this. So now we have a little pie chart here of the flag reasons, and we have a table here. So I'm going to save this. That's the first part. I'm going to save this, and I'm going to call it flags or flag distribution. Now we're going to go and create the next part, and that is the line graph. And because this is spreading multiple time periods, we're actually going to use our historical subject area for this. So we're going to say new analysis, and we're going to use IPPS-A Soldier Analytics historical. Normally, when you come here, you want to specify what snapshot date you want to pull, but we actually are going to be pulling for multiple snapshot dates. However, we only want the end of the month. So I am going to pull in the snapshot ID here. But we have, so if you notice, this will list January 15th, January 31st, February 15th, February 28th. And what we want to do is we have a indicator field here called end of month. And I'm going to use that, have a filter, and set it to yes, end of month, yes. And then I want to remove this. Now we'll see we just have January 31st, February 28th, March 31st. We have the end of the month snapshot. Okay, now I only want this to be the month. So I'm going to edit this formula. I'm going to call it month. And I want to only grab the year and the month from here. This is a number field. So I need to cast this as a char field. And then I can grab the left 6 characters of this field. And then I will just have the year and month of January, February, March, April. So that gives me just the month that I want. Okay, so that's the month. Now we're going to pull in the reasons for the restrictions. So I'll look for restriction data and pull in the item description and rename this to flag reasons. And now we want to get the number of the restrictions. So, and I also, before we do that, we need to get the flag type here. We only want the flag types of F. Those are the restrictions that we're looking for, but I don't want this in the report. So now if we look, we should see different flag reasons. Now we just see those flag reasons. Okay, now we're going to get the number of restrictions. So I'm going to pull in the begin date. We're going to edit this. I'm going to call this number of flags. And the way I'm going to count this one is I'm going to do a sum. I'm going to say case when the begin date is less than, and you want the snapshot end date. So that's going to be the snapshot date 2. So if the restriction began before the snapshot ended, and if the restriction data, so I can come down here to restriction, And we can go to the final end date. If that final end date was after the snapshot begin date, so it's a snapshot from date, but we're looking at the end of the month snapshot. We want to say that this ended after the first of the month. So we're going to say snapshot from date minus 15, because the snapshot from date is the 16th to the end of the month. So our snapshots are from the 1st to the 15th and from the 16th to the end of the month. Let's say that, or, so this and this, oops, or this is null. They're going to count that as a 1, else 0, end. And we're going to sum these ones up. So if this restriction was valid during this month, then we count it as a 1. We're going to sum those ones up for each month. And that's the number of flags per month. So if we look at that data, now we have the month, the flags, and the number of flags for that month. Okay, so now we're going to just build a graph here. So we're going to say graph, line graph. And we actually don't want the table here, so we can remove the table and remove this. And this is not the way we want it. We want the numbers on the bottom, and we want the reasons over here. So we're going to change this. We want the month to be here on top, and the reasons to be here. And there we go. So now we have the number of flags, the month, and the date, but this is kind of small. So we're going to edit this, and we're going to change this to 1400 for the width and a height of 500. And you can set this you can play around to find the best setting for your monitor. So now we have much easier to read. Now we have the months at the bottom, and we have each of the flags here, and then the number of flags. So this is our second chart. So we're going to save this as flag distribution graph. And now we're going to join these two together on a dashboard. So I'm going to say new dashboard. I'm going to call it flag distribution. And I'm going to save this in my folders. And I'm going to say add content now. So now I have my folders here. So I have a blank dashboard. It says drop content here. So I'm going to go to my demo files, build folder, and I have the two things I just built. I have the flag distribution, which I will drag and drop, and flag distribution graph, which I'll drop here. And we see that our page here is just called page 1. So we can go to the dashboard properties, and we can rename this. We just click on this first icon here to rename. I'm going to call that flag distribution. And we see that changed. I'm going to save this and run it. And then we have our flag distribution with the number of flags. And we can get rid of this easily. So we can come back and edit our dashboards. And you can edit your analysis directly from here. You can leave things the way they are. You can go return to the flag distribution. So the pie chart at the top, and then we have the number of flags at the bottom. So we've recreated this. This one doesn't have that table in here. So if you don't want the table in there, if you want to take this out and make it just the pie chart, again, we can edit from here, and we can edit this, edit analysis, and we can take out this table. We just click the X here, and then save and return to flag distribution. Now we just have the pie chart and the line graph. And now it looks just like the legacy report.